everyone. Okay. And welcome to the Board of Education meeting tonight, October 18th, 2021. I just want to take a minute and say thank you all for joining us tonight. There are another additional new faces tonight, and I just wanted to give you a high-level overview of how school board meetings are conducted. First, a school board meeting is not a meeting of the public, but rather a meeting of the board held in public, so that those in attendance can observe the board discussing and transacting business. That being said, tonight's meeting we have two opportunities for public comment, where you are welcome to provide your comments to the board. To do so, we ask that you fill out a blue sheet, so they're in the back, and you can hand them to the district clerk, and she will get them to me anytime before the public comment period. Also, you will note that the board sometimes moves rather quickly through the agenda. The board has provided the agenda and all the supporting documentation and information in advance, and we study this material to be prepared for the meetings. If you view the agenda on our website, you can see that each item typically has an attachment or two that provides this information, which is why we're able to move through the agenda sometimes rather quickly. I just wanted to provide you a little bit of context around that, how meetings are conducted, so you know. So thank you very much. I do ask that all cell phones and electronic devices be silenced, and if you will, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So now we'll move to item number 2, the superintendent's report.
Good evening. All right, so just some information to share with the board regarding what's been going on since our last meeting. We partnered with Young's Pharmacy to offer a booster shot clinic for employees last Friday. They administered about 30 shots. They did them at 3 separate spots for us and 3 separate times. So they did them at transportation in the morning, and then middle school for our secondary staff, and then over at one of the elementaries in Miller Hill, Sand Lake, for all the elementary staff. So we just really want to thank Young's Pharmacy. They've been a great partner throughout this. They've provided numerous clinic opportunities for us, and including this one where they were willing to come 3 separate times at 3 separate places. So we just really wanted to acknowledge them and thank them for their partnership. Pfoa update, you've probably seen some stuff in the news about what's going on in Post and Kill in terms of the town. So DEC and DOH at the state level did reach out to me last week to set up a meeting. Michael and Aaron Hefner, Jesse, and myself, we met with representatives from those 2 agencies. They are offering assistance now, but I think it's important to note that we've already researched our options, made a decision on how to move forward, received necessary approvals, and have a filtration system set to be in place as of January 3rd. So we appreciate them reaching out now, but from our end, things are pretty much wrapped up. Our focus at this time is really trying to recover funds for the expenses that we have had to lay out in terms of the filtration, in terms of the bottled water, in terms of the things that we've been spending money on. So we will pursue those options. We also did receive the update, or I received the update from DEC that they provided the community, and I have contacted them. In their timeline, they clearly stated that New York State representatives were in contact with the district in January and February. To the best of my knowledge, it's not true. So, and I don't know where that came from. I did ask them that question. Still waiting for a response. But it was very clearly stated that we had contact in January and February. The county has been in contact, the town has been in contact, but the state has not been until last week. And finally, just to help with transparency and provide information, we have created a link on our website where the public can find all the relevant Pfoa information. It's right on our district website. It includes the full lab results. So that information is available for folks who are looking for it. Substitute teachers, we, like every other district right now, are struggling to find substitutes. We're trying to come up with some ideas there and a kindly amount to get classroom folks or classrooms covered. In this case, the first example, we're going to allow aides that have demonstrated aptitude with students in a classroom to act as a substitute teacher, and also looking to pay elementary teachers their professional hourly rate if they sub in a room during their prep time. That's something you see more traditionally at the secondary level, just because it's easier with period scheduling, harder to do at the elementary level. You end up having multiple people in the classroom. But we are having significant issues filling all spots right now, and this is just something we're trying to do as we look to creatively solve this issue. Again, it's not just us. You've probably seen and heard about various issues throughout the Capital District and the state with the Institute of Substitutes. I know last time we had a bunch of folks come for the bus stop reviews. We want to make sure we got to the board, provide you some information on how that went. We've conducted our bus stop review process. It's extremely thorough and detailed. Mark Primo obviously involved, but also Michael and Deputy Nichols were heavily involved, including doing site visits. They were out to see these sites, in some cases multiple times. In total, 8 bus stop review requests were received. Of those, 4 were changed. 1 was due to a board policy that states kindergarten students should be picked up or dropped off at the door unless extenuating circumstances exist. 3 were changed because we determined the stops to be unsafe. So we did the review, we made stops as we deemed necessary, or made changes as we deemed necessary. We also changed about 10 that were not done through the official process, but people would contact transportation and they were able to look at those concerns and move the stop based on the information they had. There was also 1 that was changed to a 504 plan with a medical condition. So there obviously are various reasons for these changes and for the approval to be, or the request to be either approved or denied. So we really feel like we very thoroughly investigated these, and thank Mark and Michael and certainly Brian for helping us out there. Aphs Updates, just because we've had a few things happening at the high school. Oops, sorry. So this year's Spirits Week was pretty extensive, especially all that were going on. We really have tried to get back to a sense of normalcy as much as possible while still being safe. This one included, for this year, field days. We had theme days, Powder Puff football game, which I had the pleasure of refereeing. Friday afternoon, last block outdoor pep rally, which went very well. We had a food truck, and of course the football game, which was well attended by our students. And speaking of that, I'm not sure if the board is aware that we had about 200 students attend the football game Friday night at LaSalle, and wanted to publicly thank the Booster Club. The Booster Club paid for the admission fee for all of our students. Anyone wearing an Averill Park shirt who was a student, they just had, from my understanding, they had the folks at LaSalle just keep a tally, and the Booster Club wrote a check for that. So we literally had 200 students at an away football game, and by all accounts their behavior was fantastic despite the difficult rainy conditions. The senior class held their makeup prom outdoors at the Marriott in Albany. Again, that's something we actively explored. Didn't have to provide that opportunity for our students, but to do it outdoors in a safe venue. And also, I'm pretty excited to let you know that we've locked up the Times Union Center for this year's graduation. I think last year's experience was very positive by all accounts, and we thought that was something that our students deserved, and we really wanted to go down that road again, and fortunately we were able to. And then finally, he's going to be mad at me, but it's okay. Today is Michael's last board meeting. So I just wanted to take this opportunity to publicly thank him for his service. I just put it in my board report here. I remember being an assistant principal at Algonquin. I was new at the time when Michael was hired. I just remember Steve Beebe, for those who remember Steve, coming back extremely excited about this guy that they just hired, and it was going to really help us out financially and be there for the district. And now, for more than a decade, Michael has passionately provided the district with a commitment to being a steward of the taxpayers' resources, and really an undying dedication to finding creative solutions that directly benefited the students of this community. He steered the district through the dark financial times, and has been instrumental in allowing us to be in the stable position that we are in now. So, on behalf of the Averill Park community, I just wanted to publicly thank Michael for fighting the good fight for these last 14 years. So thank you to Michael. And that concludes the reports. I'll switch it over to our Celebrations of Success video. together for us. And that concludes the presentation. Thank you. Yep. Thank you.
That brings us to our first public comment period.
Oh, wait a minute. No. Jesse, I made a mistake. I'm realizing I said it. Pause that.
Okay.
I'm used to the routine. There's a third item on the report.
Today is the beginning of Board of Education Recognition Week. I almost forgot that. Never forget the Board of Recognition Week when you're giving your superintendent's report. So I believe, Ms. Fitzpatrick, I'm just fogged up at the wrong time. We have some stuff we'd like to pass out to the board. Oh, you're gonna give it? You know, more perfect. All right.
So thank you.
So thank you for your service. We put out a little statement today. Brian Raz wrote for us. We got out there. You have your certificates and a little memento, a little appreciation for all that you folks do on a regular basis to support us here in the district. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, the superintendent's report. Sorry about that.
That's all right. So this first public comment period is limited to topics on this evening's agenda. Comments that are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. I do have some school forms. I don't see anything that has topics on the agenda at this point. But visitors are invited to make brief comments or direct questions to the board. Questions are generally not answered during public comment and will be addressed by the administrative team at a later date. The second comment period tonight will be not limited to items on the agenda. And please know, we do value the comments that you guys provide, even if we don't respond to your comments during the meeting. Okay, so that brings us to item number 4, approval of the minutes of the September 13th meeting. Megan, seconded by Ann. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Thank you. And I'd like to ask that we have a motion to approve items number 5 through 7, the consent items for business, personnel, and special education. Megan, seconded by Doug. Discussion. Ann.
I just wanted to make a comment on item 6C, I believe is the retirement of Kim Conan. I want to thank her for her many years of service. She is one of my children's favorite elementary teachers, and I know that she positively impacted the lives of my kids and hundreds and hundreds more. And I wish her well in her retirement and thank her for her service.
I also want to acknowledge Susan Court and Michael Scalera for their retirements coming up later during this school year. We certainly thank them for their many years of service to the district, and we wish them well in their retirement. Does anybody have any other discussion? I just want to take a minute and also acknowledge the central office staff who puts together many of these agenda items, meeting after meeting, and there's a lot to it which we read and we go through and make sure we understand. But it does go quickly during this meeting, and we just want to thank those people for doing their work so diligently every meeting. So that is appreciated. Okay. Any other comments, questions? Okay, hearing none, I'll call it to a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Thank you. It passes unanimously. Okay, on to agenda item number 8, the resolutions, and we have several of them here tonight. The first resolution is to approve the supplemental memorandum of agreement by and between Averill Park Central School District and Averill Park Teachers Association regarding the stipend of middle school team leaders. Megan, seconded by Samantha. Discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. The next one is be it resolved to approve and accept the results of the October 12th, 2021 special referendum vote proposition per the results that Dr. Concini presented a little bit earlier. Megan, seconded by Doug. Discussion? Megan and then Samantha?
I wanna express, my gratitude to the public who voted. We had a representation of only 5% of eligible voters in the district. 95% of eligible voters in the district did not vote at all. So that number, whether it passed or failed, only represented 5% of our eligible voters. And I think that it should be noted and on the record for just anything that comes up. If people are not going to let us know what we should be doing, we can't act in everyone's account. So, if you didn't vote, or if someone didn't vote, or did or didn't, if we don't have the public's feedback, we can't function accordingly. And I just would like to say that.
Samantha?
I was gonna say something very similar. I actually just want, like, the 700 and some odd, I actually did the math, I geeked out, and I might revisit this later, I don't wanna take up too much time, but whoever you were, thank you. And, the next time one of these rolls around, bring a friend. Whatever got you motivated, tell your neighbors, tell your friends, and them too. Regardless of whether you voted yes or no, thank you for coming. And, we can maybe I'll revisit it later, but personally, I would love to figure out how we can expand the franchise, as it were, to figure out a way that, you know, if people are having, if there's a problem with getting out for something like that, like, let's figure out why and figure out how we can make it easier for people. I'll tell you, I'm not gonna lie, I made it by the skin of my teeth. I got in at it was like 9 o'clock when the polls closed, and I got in there at like 8:17 or 8:27, so, it was by the skin of my teeth too, so whoever you are, thank you, and bring your friends next time.
Any other comments, discussion? We do appreciate everyone that came out to vote.
And thank you for passing. If you did vote yes, obviously I have an opinion. I want the schools to be healthy and safe for the students. So if you did vote yes, either way you got out, thank you, and if you did vote yes, the kids' health thanks you too.
Thank you. Any other comments, discussion? Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, passes unanimously. Resolution number C, to approve the SEIPC trustee change resolution. Do I have a motion? Ann, seconded by Megan. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. Item D, approve the CACHIC trustee change resolution. Samantha, seconded by Ann. Discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Passes unanimously.
presented to us and what we should be looking for on the audit committee, and really, dumbs it down for us. Well, she makes it very clear for a lay person to understand our financial statements and our audits and what it means to have a clean audit, and that we're a very, very low risk auditee. So that really is a reflection on Michael and his team. So we appreciate the hard work that you all do. Thank you.
I would just like to, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I was just going to echo what Ann said. It was a fantastic job, very thorough. It's a lot to read and it's a lot of numbers, so it can go cross-eyed. And I was appreciative for the summaries and basically pointing out what we needed to see where we needed to see it, so it didn't all blur together.
I think it's been said, but we met for an hour before the meeting and with the auditors, the external auditors and internal, and everything was clear in the report, and that is there was no findings. And that's a pretty unique thing for a district to be in for a consecutive number of years, and I just would like to congratulate the administration for having that as a really safe place for the district to be in terms of its finances. Thank you.
Yes, thank you all. Okay, any other further discussion, comments? Okay, hearing none, call it to a vote, all those in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Resolution F, be it resolved to approve and accept the internal auditor's 2020-2021 risk assessment report dated August 23rd, 2021. And seconded by Megan. Discussion, Ann?
Along those same lines, Michael Wolf gave us a very clear and thorough report on items that we needed to be aware of, looking for things that might change, and where any risks to the district may lie, as well as the planned deeper dive into another area. So once again, the cooperation and the information that's provided to them so they can do a thorough audit is appreciated, and I was very impressed with the report.
Same. Any other comments? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Item G, be it resolved to approve the district corrective action plan as it relates to findings noted in the extra classroom activity fund. Management letter issued by Marvin and Company CPAs dated September 28th, 2021 for the fund fiscal year ending June 30th, 2021. I made a motion by Megan and seconded. Discussion. Okay, hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, passes unanimously. H, be it resolved to approve the district's corrective action plan pursuant to section 170.12 of the regulations of the Commissioner of Education as it relates to the internal auditor's 2020-21 risk assessment report dated August 23rd, 2021. Do I have a motion? Megan, seconded by Ann. Discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Passes unanimously. Resolution I, memorandum of agreement between the Averill Park Central School District and the Averill Park Teachers Association to provide the nurses with an infectious disease stipend. Do I have a motion? Jackie, seconded by Samantha. Discussion?
You wanna go first?
Samantha, then Megan, then Jackie. Did you have your hand up? No. Okay, sorry.
I mean, the only discussion is just, personally, for me, it's Miss Morley. Everybody else has the nurse that they work with. I just can't thank these guys, these people, enough for what they're doing. And if I could give them, a gold house, I would give them a gold house. Especially with, as things change, their sort of ability to roll with the kids being in, the kids being out, the helping us follow, as parents follow the very confusing rules, has been, and, you know, available for a phone call when I don't know what to do, and I can say, Ms. Morley, help me out here. And she's doing it, and, I'm sure I would fall apart without them, so this is absolutely warranted. Thank you, nurse.
I was just gonna say our entire nursing staff has gone above and beyond the call of duty. They've taken on roles that are far outside their normal realm, and they've done an amazing job and have been invaluable to us as parents and to the district, so I appreciate them and would like to thank them.
I agree. Any other discussion or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye, passes unanimously. Thank you. On to item number 9, to approve the following extracurricular advisorship at the Averill Park High School for the 2021-22 school year as per the collective bargaining agreement. This is for the K-pop club and the anime club. Do I have a motion? Megan, seconded by Ann, I think. So everybody's hand went up about the same time. Discussion?
Jesse, if I could, I just wanted to thank APTA. When I got here, this process was very convoluted for the review and the approval of clubs, especially new clubs were added, and it's really, really, really working well right now. So I just wanted to thank our administrators for one, and we have 3, 1 at each level, which was changed in the last contract, and 3 members of APTA, getting 1 at each level, and it is really a unbelievably collegial and positive environment where these clubs are flushed out, there's a recommendation made, the process is really just, it couldn't be better right now. These are examples of very student-generated clubs that through the process, the advisors will be paid, or be unpaid for the first year, and then review relevancy and viability at the end as part of the process. So it just, you know, it's a good example of things working very well. I just wanted to thank them for their part in that, both the association, the administrators, and the teachers association.
Thank you, Jim. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Passes unanimously. Item number 10, the Averill Park Professional Development Plan, to approve that. Sam, seconded by Megan. Discussion. Oh, good. Pretty thorough document, I thought. So all those in favor of approving?
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. Item number 11, to approve the contract between Landis Psychiatric Consulting, PPLC, and the Averill Park Central School District. Megan, seconded by Ann. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you. On to item number 12, the presentation of teaching and learning. Matt's gonna take it away. Yeah. Matt, do you wanna just introduce yourself to everyone?
Sure. I was hoping Dr. Francini would do a big intro, but no.
Brian's doing the video, he's working on it.
Okay. So I'm Matt Halayden, I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Teaching and Learning. I'm just approaching 2.5 years in this role. And this is really the kickoff of what will be a few presentations over the coming months. I kind of give the district overview of where we're at with teaching and learning. And then the subsequent months will be each of the buildings coming in as part of their building learning teams to also present on where they're at with instruction and what's going on in the classroom. So this is the 300-foot view, and then we'll get a little more granular each month within each building. As a reminder, the Teaching and Learning Department has 4 major areas that we kind of work within. Staff and student support, which is professional development and RTI, response to intervention. that Kate Dorgan supports. Data and accountability, that's our evidence-informed instruction, our assessments, really looking at how students are doing in the classroom. Kristen Carr and Doug Kramer are affiliated with that department. Technology integration, how we integrate technology for our students, not just our staff, but also our students, and how they're using that in instruction. Lynn Burdick and Melissa Weatherwax do a great job with that. And then special education, you've heard from Camille in prior meetings. She obviously oversees a lot of the work that we do with our special education population. It also represents all of our teacher leaders, their colleagues in the classroom, all the teachers that support it. It's a big unit of people. And when I think about what we've been doing the last 18 months, we've been reacting a lot. There's been a lot of situations that have caused us to be very nimble and agile and make changes on the fly, and as a result, been really reactionary. And where I see us finally heading this year, and certainly really for the first time since I started, because I was just feeling things out when March 2020 happened, and then we turned into reaction mode. We're finally being proactive, and we're finally actually bringing in some things that we've been wanting to do, some initiatives, some special focus areas, and really starting to be proactive with how we approach teaching and learning classroom instruction. So I'm going to touch on 5 areas that I want to review in the area of teaching and learning. I'll start with our professional learning communities. This was something that was already sort of taking place when I started in April of 2019. We had building learning teams, we had departments, and we had grade level teams. So the district, the board adopts district goals every year. Those district goals are then passed on to the buildings so the buildings can build smart learning objectives. Those are objectives that can be measured, they can be attainable, they're relevant to what's going on with our district. The building learning teams, which are essentially made up of the building administrators and the teacher leaders, develop smart objectives that are then passed down to the departments and grade levels so that they can build action steps to help us make sure we meet those objectives, which in theory should make sure that we're meeting our district goals. So that was already kind of in process. We just tightened it up initially. And then everything kind of changed this summer. As you know from last year, we knew that structure of having teacher leaders supporting our building learning teams and our academic learning teams was not really doing what we hoped it was going to do. Through no fault of the teacher leaders, it was really the structure was just not working. It was a large structure, there was a lot of really granular work that needed to be done. So we decided this summer to bring in the gentleman on the right, Dr. Jason Andrews, who's a superintendent at Windsor down near the Binghamton area of New York. He is a trainer for Solution Tree, which is the company that really has been promoting the use of professional learning communities for many, many years, going on almost 2 decades. And not only is he a trainer for it, but he's an acting superintendent. His school district has been using PLCs for 16 years. He came in, worked with our teacher leaders one day in July, and then we had a second follow-up day the next day, and it really turned things on its ear. I sat there during the training, and I remember joking the next day. I sat there like, my God, did I mess that up? Like, I came into the situation thinking I knew what PLCs were, and it was really that goal setting and action steps, the stuff that we've been doing. When Jason really broke it down, we realized we needed to restart this. And I think some of that restructuring that we talked about last year helped us get there, and certainly what we heard from Jason really reinvigorated all of us, not just the administration, but the teacher leaders as well. So it really kind of gave us an opportunity to look at things differently. And really what we've been missing was the big picture. PLCs are more than just about goal setting. They're about really the culture and the vision and the beliefs of all the people that are involved with teaching and learning. And there's 3 primary tenets. There's the ensuring that all students learn, a culture of collaboration. We want our teachers working together in professional inquiry on a monthly basis. So they're really looking at how kids learn and how we know that they're learning. And then a focus on results. That's that data piece. We kind of jumped to it without really knowing what it is we wanted to make sure they were learning. There are 4 primary questions, and we actually, Jim just arranged to have some of these posted around the buildings so that we remind ourselves, what do we want our PLCs to do, those BLTs and ALTs, what do we want them to be doing on a monthly basis? It's really focusing on these 4 questions. What is it we expect our students to learn? How will we know when they learned it? What will happen if they don't learn it? And what will we do if they already know it? We assumed when we started this process that we kind of had the number one question done. We knew what we had to teach, so we jumped right to the data. We looked at how are our kids doing? How do we know that they're doing well? And then we focused on our intervention. What do we do when kids don't get it? What we learned from Dr. Andrews this summer is you need to spend more time on question 1. We hadn't spent enough time knowing what it was we wanted our kids to learn. So that is really what we're focusing on this year. We're simplifying, we're narrowing our focus on question 1. As he said, it's not another thing on the plate, it is the plate. This is what our focus should be. This is what we're here for, is to make sure we understand what it is we want our kids to walk away with. So we are restarting the idea of our PLCs. It started with an opening day video from Jim and myself that just really explained what I just said to you, that we did this a couple years ago. It wasn't going the direction we want. You learn a lot from your mistakes. And so this is really, for us, an opportunity to restart it and get it going in the right direction. We had department and grade level meetings that all came together. So all the departments met in the auditorium, all the grade levels met in the auditorium, and they heard from their colleagues. Instead of just administration, they heard from the teacher leaders that spent that day in July and what their takeaways were. And again, the teacher leaders were so positive about the experience, and it really helped to regenerate this, and to really, you got invigorated hearing what they took away, that it wasn't just an admin thing, that this was really something that we were all agreeing it was important for our district. We're going to continue to work in October and November in the BLTs and ALTs on those important things that we kind of neglected, those foundational pieces, like what are our shared beliefs? There's a concept that we're playing a lot with called loose and tight. What are the things that the district absolutely needs our teachers to do in their ALTs? And what are the things that we're going to give you that professional respect and trust to know that you're going to do it? That's the loose part. So we're kind of playing with what things need to be tight and what things need to be loose. Dr. Andrews is going to come back on our Superintendent's Conference Day on November 5th and present to the whole faculty. So everyone's going to hear the same message that our teacher leaders heard this summer. We felt it was really important that this was something that everyone got a chance to hear, and not just the 30 individuals that were part of that day in July. And again, as I mentioned, that singular focus, really just focusing on question 1 is going to be the work that carries us through the rest of the year. At the same time, because of that restructuring that we talked about last year, we were able to introduce another idea to the district called our Teaching and Learning Cabinet. And really their work is very different. Whereas the teacher leaders and the ALTs are focused on student results and what they're learning in the classroom, the Teaching and Learning Cabinet is really about bigger picture, things that are going on in the world and how they could impact us here at Averill Park. So again, over the summer, we met as a group. There's 9 teachers that represent all 3 levels, K-5, 6, 8, and 9, 12, as well as the administrators. And we met this summer to kind of a kickoff, a little bit of team building because a lot of them didn't know each other. We worked together in this room throughout the day to really bring us together as a team and start to think about what it is this group was about, why we had a Teaching and Learning Cabinet. We know that one of the big things that we're hoping will come from this group is the opportunity to transform, to take something that maybe we're not currently doing and bring it to Averill Park. So all 4 groups looked at different kinds of models of change, because saying you want to change is very easy. Actually doing it is challenging. So we looked at those different models so that we had a background when it comes time to actually bring something to the district. We'll have some different ways of approaching that change. At the same time that day, they also developed a vision statement. Right before the end of the day, over the last hour after working all day, they said, you know what? We need to have a statement about what it is we do. It's not enough to just say that we're a group that meets monthly. We want to be able to tell people what our outcomes are, what we hope to actually accomplish. So this was their vision statement. Essentially, they want to look at our learning community and identify and create opportunities for improvement through exploration and growth. They're going to be exploring trends. They're going to be exploring initiatives that are out there that other schools are doing, and really think about, would that make sense here at Averill Park, and how would we do it? Everything that, and actually I'll show you the next slide. At our first meeting in September, there were a lot of ideas. There ended up being 43 ideas that the group came up with. We're not going to do 43 things. We're going to narrow it down to probably 1 or 2, and then dig into those. And even those 1 or 2 may not be something we end up doing, but we're going to take the time to explore it. So the group of 9 came up with the 43 ideas. They organized it in a brainstorm, and each month we're going to dig a little bit deeper and try to narrow that focus a little bit more. The third idea that I want to talk about is curriculum renewal. This has been something that's been on my mind since I started way back in April of 19. One of the things I heard at the district was it was really challenging for groups of teachers to get together vertically, meaning our elementary, middle school, and high school teachers working together. They work really well horizontally in their buildings, but they don't have the opportunity to really have those conversations from the kindergarten all the way up to 12th grade. So renewal is something that I had experience with in my prior district and thought would make sense to help to answer that question. So it really kind of started with these 4 questions that came through that earlier listen and learn tour that I did. How do we review current curriculum and instructional practices? What mechanism do we have in place to actually look at instruction? How do we ensure current standards are being met? If you're not aware, the standards are constantly changing. And there's been a lot of them new ones within the last 3 to 4 years that we want to make sure we're addressing. Is content aligned vertically? All right, how do we know that we're scaffolding the right way, that what you learn in 5th grade makes sense in 6th grade, and what you learn in 8th grade makes sense in 9th grade? So we want to make sure we have those vertical conversations. And lastly, what's our process for identifying needs and areas in need of revision, omission, or redesign within a content area? So this really is what is at the heart of renewal. But more importantly, what I've been saying to the teachers is that renewal is opportunity. It's your chance to meet as a group and say, this is how we can improve the teaching in this content area. And so that's really what I'm hoping. It's just not a mandate. It's not something that should feel like an exercise in futility. It should be an opportunity for you to, as a group, come together and say, this is how we would make science instruction better in the elementary school. This is what we can do as a K-12 art department to improve participation in our classes. So it's a chance for them to really have those deeper conversations. At its basic level, what renewal is time. We're giving teachers time each month to meet together to review, revise, modify, and innovate. It's a chance for them to identify strengths and weaknesses of their current curriculum. It's a chance for them to work together vertically. We have representation in all of our content areas K-12, so we're getting representation at each level. And then also take that time to see where we're at with our current understanding of our standards. The process is broken into 4 stages. So each stage kind of represents a year. You start in the on-deck phase, which is just 1 meeting that first year. And then the next year in the review phase is a monthly meeting. The revise phase, which is year 3, is a meeting every other month. And then implement is a twice-a-year meeting. So it kind of ramps up and then it slowly kind of layers down. So it's a constant cycle of curriculum work that goes on through the district. And by constant cycle, you can see how this really lays out. There's always work going on with curriculum when you're in a renewal stage. So last year, we kind of had 2 areas that were already doing renewal without actually calling it renewal, our K-5 ELA and our special ed department. So they were technically in the review phase last year because they were doing the work. And then towards the end of last year, we started our science, art, and SEL, social emotional learning. We started them in the on-deck phase, so they met right at the end of last year. Now this year, those 3 departments have now moved into the review phase. So they're actually doing their deeper work right now. At the same time, ELA and special ed is actually starting to impart some of the changes that they reviewed last year. And towards the end of this year, we'll be starting our next phase with math and PE and health. So there's always going to be someone doing work at each one of those stages. And the idea is this is ongoing. After 5 years, we just restart with the next cycle. So there's always work being done within your curriculum area. The idea is that this outlasts all of us, that this just becomes part of the way we do our curriculum work in the district. The next item is response to intervention. Definitely something that has taken a lot of focus this year, starting at the start of the school year. We know, we've talked about this in prior presentations, that there is definitely an impact over the past 18 months on student learning. And the need for interventions is as high as it's ever been. We know from recent universal screenings done at K-8 that there's a tremendous need across all the buildings to make sure that we are supporting our students that are struggling the most. While we don't like to call it learning loss, if you remember that from a few months ago, we do want to maintain that academic progress. And we've seen that progress be a little stunted with some of our students, and we want to make sure we keep them going. So those universal screenings were done this fall. We've been having data meetings. You can see all the people involved in those data meetings. It's a lot of different individuals that, and I've sat in on a few of them, they care about kids. This is entirely about kids and making sure that they are moving forward, that they're not stopping their academic improvement and academic growth. Really invested in how to make this work for our kids. The additional intervention staff has been crucial. If you remember last year, we used the stimulus funds to reinstate AIS positions. We were going to be 1 in each building. We were able to get up to 3 in each of our elementary schools. That's been absolutely critical. I don't know how we would have been able to match the demand that we've seen with that one person. So that stimulus money was extremely important for us to be able to continue to do this. But it's probably still not enough. I put in that we're going to need all hands on deck. We're really going to have to take advantage of anyone that can support our students. The classroom teachers play a huge role. It's not just on the AIS teachers. We're going to be working with them to try to figure out how to empower them to find that kind of opportunity to dig in with some of their students. So interventions will continue to be a big topic for us K-12 all the way through the year. And then finally, K-5 literacy, another thing that we had started and then had to stop. We're working with a group called the Reading League. You saw it in the video that Jim showed. They are a not-for-profit out of central New York that focuses on the science of reading, which is essentially how the brain learns to read. There is a reading war out there that I didn't know until I started this job, about really 2 camps of how kids learn to read. And at the end of the day, it's really about research. There's tons of research that shows how the brain actually learns to read. So what the Reading League does is they come in and they don't work on with our teachers on strategies, they work with them on knowledge. They get our teachers to all understand how kids learn to read, get that common vocabulary, the common approach to teaching, so that all of our teachers, whether you're kindergarten or 5th grade, you'll have a better understanding of our kids and how they approach like early literacy tasks, like phonemic awareness, phonological awareness, decoding. Those are all critical pieces to the foundations of literacy that we've not really had that up until we started working with the Reading League. So we've been really fortunate to have them come in. They were here 2 weeks ago. They worked with every classroom teacher for a half a day. They'll come back next week for another half day, and then they'll also be spending time with us in January and March. And again, it's really about that foundational work. If you remember, we talked in the past about ELA curriculum. We've had a committee working on that. We did make a choice last year, and this allows us to build that foundation before that new curriculum comes in. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what curriculum you choose. What matters is that you know how kids learn to read. And any curriculum you pick should be a layer on top of that foundational knowledge. So we're really fortunate to have this year to build that knowledge, to then bring the curriculum in next year on top of the work we're doing with our PLCs, kind of coming full circle to where I started. We have now this structure in place to have these discussions about early literacy. So really excited about where we're going with K-5 literacy. And that's it. Any questions? Yeah.
The first circle you had that showed the 3 or 4 different elements of the whole program, it reminded me of a concept, an earlier concept called data-driven instruction.
Mm-hmm.
When you present in a more granular sense that concept that you were talking about in terms of how the data would influence the teaching, would you differentiate for me how that's different from the data-driven concept in the past?
Sure. So it's actually
You don't have to do it now.
Oh, okay.
You don't have to do it now. What I'm saying is that when you get more granular in your presentations later on.
Yeah, and I think you'll see it in the building presentations because it is a big part of what we're still doing.
And I was glad to see that you also included culture, because the culture and the feelings of the individuals, the adults in the building are very important.
Mm-hmm.
What I didn't see, and you'll get to this in a future presentation, I'm sure, is the inclusion of the teaching assistants and the aides in that whole process. Because I know teachers often meet together, and then the assistants take their classes or might be distracted by other scheduling concerns. I would like to see those teacher assistants also obtain that same training, understanding of the culture, and understanding of what's happening in the classroom from their perspective as well.
Okay, thank you.
For the future.
Yep.
Thank you. Also, I'm sorry, I'm just reviewing my notes here. The data that you gather is going to be derived from a certain program that you may implement, whether it be phonics and alpha reading or other reading programs. Include in your presentation in the future whether that's K-12, a 3-12, a 3-8 program, and whether we will be standardizing that among all the elementary schools. Because I think it's important for us to pick a program that aligns with the state standards. In other words, we can gather data internally based on our own testing, but also include what external testing we're going to use. And also, you raised that we're going to learn from other districts. I think my question is, in the future, you're going to let us know how you obtain that information from other districts, whether it's a visit to districts to actually see how the programs are implemented and how this program is successful in the classroom through being there, or whether it be through some sort of conventions or some other ways to communicate that.
Sure.
So I'd like to know, because there are avenues for you to pursue that would allow you to actually see the programs in action and the whole concept in action. And I'd be interested to hear how that would work for you, and what the teachers, if they went out to other school districts, what they gathered in their visits as well.
Sure.
Okay?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Along these lines, we have like a starting off point for the year, and these are somewhat of a, kind of like a pulse check of the year of where we are in the process. I'm curious what, if any, feedback you're getting from the teachers, also the support staff within the district on the social emotional learning piece as it is sort of playing out in how our students are expressing themselves or being able to express themselves with the challenges of this year. So I'm curious what feedback you're getting from all of the stakeholders, and that, these are all people that come in contact with our kids on a day-to-day basis. I'm interested how, they're seeing these challenges play out, and if it's, all the tools are being, implemented and beneficial, for those interactions.
So if you remember, I think Camille was here not that long ago talking about the two SEL chair people that we brought into the district. The intent with that was that same school of thought, that we didn't know what was going to come walking into our buildings this fall based on everything that had happened. So I've been kind of following up. My thinking was, are we seeing a lot of kids in emotional distress and that are really struggling? The feedback I got is not necessarily that. It is manifesting itself in discipline. We're seeing, I think, a bigger increase in discipline incidents that may be a direct relation to some of that SEL work. Our SEL coordinators are very active, working across the whole district with teachers, with administrators, strategies, doing professional development, all those different ways to address some of what we've seen. The wellness checks are still there. They look different at each of the levels, but that's ongoing. Planning again for a mental health or warrior wellness day, not wanting to lose that momentum. Trying to embed this is more of what we do. We talked about that last year as well, that we don't want these one-off things. We really want this to be part of our culture. And so the coordinators are really gonna help us bring this into the buildings more naturally, something that doesn't feel like an add-on. That SEL curriculum renewal team that I mentioned was very intentional. We have a group of, I think it's about 8 individuals, again, representing all different levels, that are really focused on this as well, that are kind of saying, okay, what do we need to do within our buildings to, again, make this more seamless in terms of how we interact with our students on a daily basis to work with our SEL, that it's not just intended for one person's job, but really all of our jobs. And I think that's really kind of been the general response that we've seen. But I guess long-winded answer to say, we're seeing it more, I think, in discipline than we are seeing it with emotional distress.
So you're seeing it manifest more in terms of frustration and anger than what you anticipated. I think I'd like to echo Doug's sentiment. I'll see you in making sure that the teachers' aides are included, and I will raise you in requesting requesting that all district employees be included in additional training opportunities to help them be able to be, better equipped to handle these type of situations. And in doing so, they'll be better for our kids in de-escalating and helping them through those challenging times, so that they are, not disrupted in their educational progress.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I just wanted to clarify something that I heard you say, the stimulus money that you were able to use for AIS. So A, I heard that correctly, and then B, just can you expand on that just a little bit? Like, we talked about it a little bit before, just refresh my memory what that specifically, what you were able to do.
Sure, so the federal government gave money to New York State that was then divvied up to schools. Our portion of that money was able to use for a variety of things. We chose to use a portion of it to bring back two positions in each building, so 6 total positions that would not have been part of our operational budget. We were able to bring those back using stimulus funds so that we could have 3 AIS teachers in each of our elementary schools. And actually, it's actually the 7th position because we also brought another one back to our middle school as well.
And again, as things sort of unfold now, we're all struggling, I'm not gonna lie. Though you're seeing a direct, that's helping you deal with what you're seeing now.
It will. We're in the process now of identifying the kids based on a screening assessment that we did. They're grouping kids right now, so in the coming week, they will start working with they've been working with students that were identified previously from last year over the first 6 weeks, but now we have that real tangible evidence. So they will start working with those students to make sure that the specific skills that they're struggling with are being met. So they are going to be very, very busy over the next few months. And it's not just a one-shot deal. Once they're getting those services, they're constantly checking on their progress. So once a kid's in, doesn't mean they have to stay in the rest of the year. If they catch up really quick, back they go, and there's more waiting. So we will be doing those checks throughout the year.
Thanks.
I appreciate this presentation. I appreciate my colleagues' thoughts too. I think it's great that you guys took a step back and said, hey, we need to reevaluate question 1. I think that's real honest work to say, let's not keep charging forward if we miss something. And so I really appreciate that you guys are doing the hard work that it takes to get our students to where they need to be. So much appreciated.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Actually, have something.
Yeah.
It's right there, like in front of me. I just wanted to appreciate the focus on early literacy. I do it in my work, see the research all the time about when the early literacy is neglected, how the gap between achievement and non-achievement only gets worse. So just the amount of focus you guys have on that, I appreciate that, because otherwise we're just sort of running into the same wall. So kudos for each other.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, man.
Okay. Always are learning. This brings us to item number 13, public comment that is not limited to topics on this evening's agenda. I do have some loose sheets. If anybody has any more, feel free to bring them up. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Visitors are invited to make brief comments or direct questions to the board. Questions are generally not answered during the public comment, and questions will be addressed by the administrative team at a later time. In addition, please remember that there are some items that are not permissible to be discussed, such as matters unrelated to the district and matters involving specific individuals. We do value your comments, and we welcome you to provide them. And with that, I'm just going to start with the first one on top, and that's Julie Hansen. If you can please come up to the microphone, thank you.
Hi there. I have just 4 quick things. First, I'd like to thank Jessica Zweig for speaking with me directly and personally at the end of August, beginning of September, I called her at her home with some concerns, and she took the time to speak with me. I was unable to attend the September meeting, but I was at the August meeting. There was a lot of people here with COVID concerns, questions, that kind of thing, myself included. A comment from a board member was, you have as much of a voice as we have in terms of dealing with legislation, government, that type of thing. It got me to thinking. I said, well, let me test this. So on October 5th, I sent emails to NYSET, Department of Education, Senator Gillibrand's office, Senator Schumer's office, and Senator Delgado's office. With a very brief statement, I have some questions and concerns about COVID. I'm hoping to discuss that with a representative from your office. So far, I have had a form letter from Gillibrand's office stating that someone will contact me, which no one has. I got a personal response from the Department of Education stating they would refer me on to someone who would talk to me. Haven't heard anything back from them. I have a tentative meeting time with a representative from Delgado's office this coming Friday, and I have not heard from the other two at all. I certainly hope you're having better luck than I have had so far in discussing some of these concerns. I had some concerns about what was going to happen with my children, other kids of course. My kids are in Miller Hill and 4th grade. If they were quarantined, not because they were sick, but because they were around someone who was. Last year, they were live streaming with their class when they were quarantined. It was absolutely fantastic. And I've gotten some very discrepant information as to what the actual policy was last year and what it is this year. My understanding this year is it is across the board. There's no live stream if they're quarantined, which I do not get. And if it's changed, I'll be happy, but I cannot for the life of me understand why that can't take place. I know these teachers are working their butts off. They're good people, but I don't understand why you can't just stick a laptop in the front of the classroom like they did last year. Mr. Layden, I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce your name incorrectly, just said that there's just across the board learning loss because of all this. We need this. Let them live stream if they're gonna be forced out of school for upwards of 10 days, please. And last thing, we have a new bus driver and monitor, I believe it's Max and Brad, 2 young men. They are timely, they have been phenomenal with my boisterous son. They are pleasant. I can only imagine they represent all the folks that are support staff for this district. I'm sure they're just a microcosm of all the people who work in the kitchen and all these other places, and I don't want to lose them. They're great guys. Again, I don't want to lose any of these people, so I hope, just like to put in my plug for some fair compensation, whatever needs to happen to support these people. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments and your input. It's appreciated. I have Lisa Ennis.
Good evening. My name is Lisa Ennis. I've lived in the district 31 years. My daughter graduated from the high school back in 2008, and I've worked here 25 years as a teacher aide. I'm here today to remind the board of the value of what we do. I hear some of you say you understand our value, but I think if you really understood, we wouldn't be among the lowest paid school employees in the area. 2 weeks ago, I'm going to speak of an example of a student that I had. 2 weeks ago, one of our 3rd graders asked me to sit with him during the mass break while the other members of his class went out to take a mass break. He stayed with me. I was his aide in his 2nd grade classroom last year. We bonded. He didn't do remote. He was in class full time. He was a slow reader at that time. But now, he wanted to show me personally how much he had improved. Last week, we sat together again so he could show me his writing skills. The experience reminded me of how important teacher aides are to individual students' success, and not just to keeping order in the classroom. There is nothing like the feeling of being part of a child's success and happiness. It's one of the true joys of my job, and it keeps me going. Sorry, just getting a little bit, because this means a lot to me. He keeps me going through overwork that has resulted from the understaffing at the school. And despite being angry about the wages and conditions here, I will probably retire from the school district because of the years I've invested. My daughter also works here in Averill Park as a teacher aide. She has an associate's degree in early childhood education and plenty of experience prior to being hired this year. She couldn't be here tonight because she works at a grocery store in the evening to make ends meet. She actually makes less an hour here than she would make working at a fast food place. There are other teacher aides around my daughter's age who are probably in the same position. How long do you suppose they will stay at Averill Park under the current conditions? Most of us love our work. In fact, all of us who work, as you can see, all of us love our jobs here in Averill Park. We have worked very hard. We work hard each and every day. But you shouldn't take advantage of that fact. You shouldn't assume that just because we enjoy our work that we don't deserve livable wages. And you definitely shouldn't assume that the next generation will stick around at all if the problem isn't fixed. So I'm pleading with you and all of us here, okay, that each and every day through this COVID, we have worked tirelessly and endlessly to do the best of our ability. And yes, we have great teachers and we have other people that are phenomenal people. But us here, okay, we are doing our part. And all we want is to be compensated for it. We have families too. So I'm pleading with you, please. And I thank you all very much for doing what you do. And happy school administration, school board week. And I appreciate each and every one of you doing what you're doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment, and in particular your anecdote story. It's appreciated. Wendy Scarcey?
Hi, I'm Wendy Scarce. I'm a teacher aide at Miller Hill. I'm in the library and the main office. This is my 7th year there. And this year, my salary reached just above the $15 an hour rate. I made that amount over 25 years ago as a printing estimator. When I took this job, I didn't expect to make that amount, but I didn't expect my salary to move at such a snail's pace. We accepted a 1.25% across the board salary increase because of COVID last year. We basically agreed to take one for the team. The prior contract was, from what I can recollect in my own private feelings, was begrudgingly accepted. We were told we weren't going to get anything better, and if he wanted to have a contract, we should accept it. So we did. Now, speaking strictly as a teacher aide salaries in Averill Park are not the lowest in the area, but they're decidedly below average. According to Indeed, the base salary for a teacher's aide in Averill Park is $11.93 an hour. In Rensselaer, it's $2.12 more per hour. In Troy, $1.41 more per hour. Waterville, $1.11. Brunswick, $1.07. Cohoes, 68 cents. And even Hoosick Falls was 18 cents an hour more than here in Averill Park. But let's forget the pay scale issue and focus on one very important fact, and that's the rate of inflation. At the end of September, the federal government raised its estimate of the average inflation rate for this year, 2021, to 4.2%. Right now, we're at a whopping 5.4%, which is a 13-year high. While the rate is expected to drop next year, 2022's projected inflation rate is currently at about 2.6%. Now, if we were to accept your proposal of a 1.5% salary increase, that would leave a deficit of 1.1%, a hit to our wallets that we can't afford given our low salaries to begin with. We simply cannot afford to accept your current proposal. We're asking for a reasonable salary increase, one that allows us to earn a living wage. Many industries are finding that they need to adjust their pay scales to more accurately reflect today's cost of living. Even Social Security is getting with the program with an expected adjustment of a 6% increase in 2022, according to MarketWatch. Please, I hope that you reconsider your proposal and adjust it accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you for your input. Brenda Hammond?
Hi, I'm Brenda Hammond. I'm a bus driver and a teacher's aide. But I just wanted to say what Wendy was saying, that I wanted to respond to the school board's letter that they read at the last meeting. You claimed that we voted in favor of the 1.25 raise. It didn't mean that we were happy about it or that we thought we were only worth the 1.25. You failed to mention in your letter that we were asked to accept the 1.25 for the good of the school because we were not sure of the financing during the pandemic, and that we were going to focus on what was good for the students. You also failed to mention that 2 to 3 weeks after you agreed on the 1.25, you gave Management Confidential a 3.25 raise. If you compare 3.25 on a $100,000 plus salary compared to 1.25 on a $30,000 salary, it's a big difference, and that's why we're upset. Not everyone sacrificed and went without. We had members of our support staff going to the food pantry. Your support staff are just as important to the district as Management Confidential, and you need all of us to operate this school and to make it work. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your input. Karen Frost?
I'll just start with a couple things that I heard. One good thing is that my son thought he lost his black Nike baseball cap and thought there was no way that it would be in the lost and found. And then when he went after the weekend, it was there, and we both rejoiced because I said, people are honest. Let's hope that it'll be there. So that's a little thing I wanted to say. I also wanted to check with, after you spoke, I know you can't give me an answer. Can parents receive by email screeners, wellness checks, surveys that their kids are filling out in the various school districts? Because I'm hearing from other parents or listening about things, and there's some really wacky things sometimes on these screeners and their wellness checks, and I really don't want my kids, even if they're older, filling out something that maybe I would like to know about before they fill it out. I think that that's something parents should be entitled to have happen. And let's see here. I know you brought up, you weren't at the last meeting, but I did bring up the learning style and the 10 days for regardless of vaccination status, if you had to stay home. I did email Dr. Franchini and Matt Hadlum, and Matt did get back to me. I'm just kind of summarizing from last time, so that teachers wouldn't be able to move freely about the room. I said, well, even if the kids could just hear, because kids are stressing out, and talk about wellness check, they're stressing out about that, you know. And Dr. Franchini did get back to me. I reiterated the fact that, you know, I believe that there should be a way to kind of reevaluate things, and he said that that would happen at some point. I don't know when, but that right now we would just have to agree to disagree. So I'm still not satisfied with that, and I would love to be in contact with you when that gets reevaluated and how you reevaluate it. You know, I think a check should go out to the kids. Are you stressed out that you might miss 10 days of school and not have anything other than your work sent home? You'd get a resounding yes from every child in the school. So I would like that to be a survey question if that can be the case. And thank you guys for your volunteer service in School Board Appreciation Week. And I know that many parents and community members, I'm going to talk fast because I know my time is limited, have come to the meetings, especially since the summer, because of everything that has happened and people want to get their voice heard. Parents, school personnel, and the elected school board members all want the best for the children in the district, and all involved should be able to freely and respectively share concerns and have an open dialogue. I know that per the school board rules, the meeting is for parents to be able to just make comments only, and that the administration will get back to them at a later date. I don't feel like everybody gets back to them at a later date from everything that they bring up. I think a lot of frustration could be addressed at the board if they could look at everyone's comments and questions and then provide a response, which I was great to see the bus review and the bus route review. That was really great. It makes it feel like you say something and then it matters and you get a response back from it. Parents I speak with feel like a parent or community member stands up, makes comments, and sits down, and the same thing happens over and over. It would work best for comments to be made, and then for the administration to get back to everybody, whether it's presented in something that gets sent out to the school, because believe it or not everybody can make it, and they really would like to know everything that's going on. And I know that there is something on the website, okay, the minutes, I understand that that's there. Because comments and made without feedback isn't real communication. And wondering if the district can explore an in-person mechanism for parents to have some back and forth communication, like a working dialogue, so when we come to these board meetings, everybody's just feels like they're ready to be heard and ready to be responded to. I don't know if it's a PTO meeting. I don't know if it's a parent group or something, parents with school personnel. I think it would really, really help. And I know it seems like there's a wall up about it a little bit. Parents talking to parents with school personnel. It just seems like it's kind of two groups. It would really be nice to mesh together and have a way to do that. I'm sure there's many parents, myself, I would love to work with the school to help facilitate that. I think it would really help in all ways for all issues that parents have. I know the board and everyone here cares about the parents and the students. And I sincerely hope that the district and all school districts across the country don't desire to silence parents, but desire to listen to them and respect them and take to heart to what parents say and share. Academic learning is of the utmost concern, and my priority first in the schools, and as well as the total student and his or her needs in order to be the best, most successful graduating student that is thriving and a productive member of our community and the workforce. And I hope that open dialogue can be a tool that parents, school personnel, and the elected board members can use to make it a priority for, as we say, every student, every day.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Alex Molina, did I say that correctly?
Yes.
Thank you so much. I am glad that your attorney's here, so I am going to be speaking on behalf of the members. I'm doing something that I have never done before. I had to address the board to correct misinformation that you have provided the community. The first thing that I want to add, and it's a little unfair because I wasn't part of that negotiation, is the contract in 2016 was voted down the first time, and it was verified by my director, Denise Warren, which was the LRS at the time. It also was verified by Eric Muldoon, the subsequent LRS. I do want to speak of my time being the LRS here. I want to talk about that 1.25%. I was approached by your attorney, Mr. Honeywell there, and he said to me that the district has a generous offer. And I remember saying, you know, the 1.25% is nothing when you are underpaid. To which he disagreed with me and explained to me that under the current circumstances, people were taking 0% across the board. I said, I don't think these people deserve that. I remember saying, I don't believe it's sufficient. However, I will bring it to the team. These people that you have here care so much about the students that they put aside their own finances and say, you know what? Let's work with them because we want them to focus on the education of the kids. And then I received a call on the board meeting that you were approving the 1.25%, you approved a 3.25%. Mr. Weeman said in a meeting with me that there was the same amount. You cannot compare when somebody is at the job rate where it is above average than when somebody's under average. Many of my school districts, today I received an offer from the Skodak Central School District with 3%, 3.25%, and 3.5%. They are not underpaid. Their teacher aide start, I believe, around $16 an hour, and the following year they get to $17 an hour. Within 5 years they are up to $18 an hour. They took this to help you and to help the community. They care about this, but they got tired. They got tired of the missed message. Then I received a call in my day off from your attorney again. Says, we have money. I was so happy. I called the president immediately and say, let's sit down. I'm gonna go. I cleared my schedule and I came. I believe it was a 2% to modify the 1.25% to a 2%. Following year, 1.5%. In the last year of the contract, 1.25%. When other school districts are giving 3%. School districts like Lansingburg, they closed for 1 year because they didn't have money. School districts that Mr. Honeywell represents, right now we're talking about 3%. Rensselaer City, it was a financially stressed school district in this area. We're talking about 3% for their staff, and you're talking about 2, 1.5, and 1.25. And let me tell you, all the data that I present is accurate. It's data that came from information that came from the district, from your auditors. That amount that is in the flyers that are going out there is verified, is made by professionals, that they don't care about what Alex has to do out there in the field. What they care is about their integrity. And they represent that information. I have salary comparisons, where I did an average, they are underpaid on the average by $3. This is accurate information that your administrators, including Mr. Honeywell, have failed to listen. All they say, that information is inaccurate. All they say is, no, this is a good increase. But they don't verify the information. They don't listen to the folks that are working. All they are asking is to support them, just like they support the kids. Because at the end, they are the ones that take care of your children out there in the classrooms. They are the ones that take care of the children in the bus. They make sure your school is clean. They make sure that they get transportation, that they are well. Those are the ones doing the other work, the work that many other people don't want to do. These folks that speak, they earn tons of money. They don't. And nobody has taken the time to look at that. I want to do one more thing. I want to invite you, all of you, to come to the table and listen to what we have to offer. Look at the data and do your own research. Don't take my word for it. They say, or you said it's inaccurate, doesn't make it inaccurate. You gotta prove it, and I can prove it. Thank you.
Thank you for the information. Sue Raymond?
I just wanted to say, as an employee, I'm very saddened because I've been working for the district for 22 years. And as a taxpayer, I am very upset that we're not getting paid what we should be getting paid. My nephew went to Hannaford. He's making almost just as much as me, and he just started. It's pretty sad.
Thank you
students in elementary, middle school, and high school at Averill Park. There are a lot of amazing things our district offers to the students, of which we are grateful. We're also grateful that our children are able to go to school full-time this year. However, being able to go to public school in America is not the lucky fortune that it's being treated as. The public school system, as you know, is funded by tax dollars. The COVID-19 relief package given to our district also comes from taxpayers. I just want to go off my script a little bit. Like, where is that money going? These people are the people with the heart. They put our kids in front of these dollars. Where is this money going? It's not going to the people that genuinely care about our kids. You're taking that money and you're taking these mandates. These masks, they don't work. Going to school in a mask only disrupts the natural human connection of seeing and interpreting the facial expressions of others. But it also doesn't afford others to do the same of my children or any of the children in our district. Additionally, as the majority of students are wearing cloth masks, science has presented itself numerous times to prove that masks are ineffective. Some ways we know this is when buying these required masks, websites like Kohl's and JCPenney's say respectively, not designed to prevent the spread of any virus, and we make no warranties that the mask prevents infection of the transmission of COVID-19. Even more interesting, Old Navy's disclaimer, I have all these papers too if you need them, for the United States says, this product makes no claims of antimicrobial protection, antiviral protection, particulate filtration, or infection prevention or reduction. Old Navy's Canadian disclaimer states, non-medical masks are an additional measure you can take, but wearing one has not proven to protect the person wearing it. Let me say that again. The mask has not proven to protect the person wearing it. But that's Canada. Maybe their science is different than here. It is public knowledge that the COVID relief money taken by our district comes with strings attached. First the masks, and now we have a very aggressive new governor. The vaccine is pushed onto our minor children. The DOH vax ban goes from district to district. Is it coming here? I hope not. This is to save lives, they say, but according to the American Academy of Pediatrics, as of October 14th, 4 days ago, the death rate among children is 0.01%. 0.01% is statistically zero. When this district had an opiate epidemic, when children in this district were dying in the Stort's bathroom, where was DOH? Where was the Board of Education? Where was the school district? Were you running around drug testing the children? Did you have a van pull up to the school to put them in programs, outpatient rehab? If this is about our children and keeping them safe, then it should be about everything to keep them safe. These mandates need to stop. It's my job as a parent to care about what's best for my children, and as the Board of Education, it's also your job to care about what's best for our children. It's time to stand up against what is wrong. There are thousands of children that look up to you. They are watching what you do. And when you do something that you know is wrong, and you do it for money, that is what you are teaching our next generation. It is time for you to stand up or step down and let somebody take your spot that can do what's right for our kids.
Thank you for your comments. I have no further blue sheets. Is there anyone else out there that would like to come to the microphone? You're welcome to.
I just want to say
Please state your name and where you're from.
Sorry, I'm Eva Dacier. What was the second part?
Where you're from.
Oh, from Averill Park. I just want to say a big thank you to all the people sitting here. You guys, I really thank you for everything you do. I stand with you, and Amanda, that was a great speech. Thank you.
are listening. Brings us to item number 14, the board member reports. Doug, I think I'll start with you tonight.
I'd just like to say to Dr. Franchini, I really enjoyed your celebration video earlier, especially the part that talked about the inclusion of outside organizations visiting our students. You had fire departments, I saw RPI, speakers from the outside, the Reading League speakers came in. All that are very valuable inputs for our district. I appreciate you doing that. I hope that continues and Matt utilizes those as well in his upcoming programs. I'm still looking at Matt's circles up there, and I have so many questions, and as we get more granular later on, I hope those stay up there so I'll be reminded of what I need to ask about. Also, I hope you keep us informed through executive sessions, the progress of negotiations with all of our union representatives, okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Megan?
I'd like to thank all the community members that came out and spoke tonight or didn't speak. Your presence is absolutely appreciated. I appreciate you staying for the board member reports frequently. This is our only opportunity to speak and address additional concerns or those that are expressed during the meetings. And it's really important for the community to interact with us. Like I said previously, without community interaction, we cannot act accordingly if we don't hear what you're saying. I have 3 children in the district. I have a student in high school, I have a student in the middle school, I have a student in elementary school. The education they receive from the teachers is unparalleled, but the support that they've received over my years in the district, I deliberately moved here to be in this district because of all of the people that are here as part of the district. It is extremely important to me as a resident that everyone who is part of this community feels valued in their participation. And it's one of the reasons that I serve as a volunteer on this board. So I make it a point to thank people that I come in contact with on a regular basis. I thank them frequently as much as I can. And when you don't see what you don't see going on behind the lines is the advocacy that we all feel for every single participant in this Averill Park community. So you are appreciated, you are heard. And I appreciate your attendance here at this meeting and every prior meeting, and I hope to continue to see you at the meetings because we need to see you more than just in these areas. I'd like to thank Mike for his service to the district. As his last board meeting, he's been extremely valuable to me as a member of the board, helping me through those, things that I didn't have experience in prior, and he's brought me up to speed, and I will miss him, and he probably won't miss me. Just saying. And along the lines of student support, I'm gonna make a shameless plug for our students who are getting back into action with things like sports, and they're really killing it out there. So proud of our student athletes who are absolutely amazing. So proud of our music department and our theater club. OBP is gearing up for a fall show, and I know that they're working really hard, and the treble choir and everybody trying to get back to normal in this environment, and it hasn't been easy, and I would like to honor our students who have really stepped up and are persevering, and I'm very proud of all of them. So, thank you.
Thank you, Megan. Ann?
I would first like to thank all of you for coming tonight, and for those of you who stood up to speak. I know I've been doing this a few years, and I still when I'm at the microphone, so, it takes a lot to stand up there, and, we all feel very strongly about our children, and, like Megan said, it's important for us to hear what you have to say, rather than through the rumor mill or through Facebook. When you stand up there, we hear your words, and, that's important to us, so I appreciate you taking the time to put together your thoughts and to let us know how you feel. Also, I do not have the eloquence or the words to thank you, Mike, for all your service, and what an absolute pleasure it has been working with you, and you will be sorely missed. The work you have done and guided for this district is unparalleled, and again, I wish I had the right words to say thank you, but I wish you well.
Thanks, Ann. Samantha?
Just to start out by thanking Mike, from the get-go. And I hope that you have fun whatever you go and do, and it's relaxing. And there's no big numbers and deadlines involved. I just want to say, I kind of geeked out, after this vote. Like I said, was gonna revisit it, and, I kind of went back and looked at the vote tallies. I said I was gonna geek out, I did. And you just see this, like, and I'm sure that there are national trends, and that's nothing I can do about that. But here locally, you know, we look at the past, what is it, 2021? So 10, 11, 12 years. And there was a time where there were 3,000, 4,000 people coming out to vote for budgets and e-school boards. And I'm not plugging for voting for me, but it was these several years, at least what I have, 3,000 people. And then you start to see it get down to 2,000, and then it becomes like 1,300, 1,100, and you know, fast forward to now when we're looking at like 700, 800, 900 people who are voting on a $28 million capital project. It sort of sets what you guys are doing. Not only like there's the voting, but then here's this small crowd of not 700 people who are coming out and sharing your experience with us. So I definitely appreciate the effort that you guys are making. And you know, one of the things that came up after, for me in my mind, was, again, there's national voting trends that are, you know, that's nothing to do with us, but I want to know, like, how can we encourage participation in our community? How can we start to go from 700 people voting to 1,000 to 1,500? And Karen, Ray, I think it was, right? Having community forums, something like that, where we can have an exchange, where there are rules that we have to abide in a legal format here as a school board meeting. And again, I don't know what it looks like yet, but please know that there is a desire on this side here, certainly for me, to create some kind of community forums where we can talk about things like what is standing in the way of kind of this family or that family getting out to vote. What is standing in the way of, you know, does everybody know? What is CSEA negotiation? How does that work? Like, can I just come in and be like, I think we should pay them $1 billion? You know, it doesn't work that way. And how do we disseminate, how do we educate ourselves, each other, for how those negotiations work? I feel like we started in the last several meetings to talk about how these meetings work. I gotta say, I appreciate how much these meetings are conducted professionally. Like, how you guys, you get up, you say what you have to say. It's really like well-informed and well put together, and it's a very like respectful adult place, and I think we can do more of that. And you know, hopefully we can figure out. I forgot my pen, so I wrote out all my notes. But figure out how we can, you know, get participation. We're not gonna get everybody to jump in the way you guys are. We need a bigger room, but, you know, we can start the flow in the other direction. Instead of 4,000 down to 700, we can set that participation back in the other direction. And so, I don't know what that's gonna look like, as we go forward, but hopefully Jim, Jesse, Megan, and Blake will figure out how to do it, maybe somewhere outside with hot dog and or something.
Hold the votes with the townwide elections. You want people to show up?
That sounds like good input for a
There's no
meeting.
reason why this vote couldn't have waited 2 or 3 weeks till the election.
Jesse, I'm gonna refer back to you. Thank
I
you.
don't have a session
No,
for
it's
this
good.
one.
Thank you, and I'm gonna wrap it up. Thank you guys for being here, and, thanks Mike, and, yeah.
Thank you, Samantha.
So I'm gonna keep it short and sweet, and everybody's probably itching to get out of here. I wanted to say thank you so much to Mike Ouimet for all his years of service. I know when I first started here, years ago, when I used to work as a communication specialist in the district, he taught me things that I did not understand about the budget, so I could explain it to the public, because there's a lot of lingo in there that just doesn't make sense, and he broke it down, and I appreciate that very much. It was so thank you, and good luck in your future endeavors. I'm sure I'm still gonna bother you, so I'm sorry about that. And I just wanna thank all of you guys for coming out tonight. I know personally, I know a lot of you from Miller Hill, and my kids love you guys, and they wouldn't have the same they wouldn't have the same experience without you guys there. So I definitely hear you, and I'm, you know, hopeful that things will improve for you. I'm just saying that personally, but you guys are just as important as every other teacher in that building. Same with the bus drivers, the custodians. They work, you know, they all know the kids. Everybody, my daughter talks about how she helps the custodian and helps cleans up before he comes into the room, so he doesn't have to work so hard. She you know, so I just, and they all know her name. Everybody knows her name, you know, and I love that. My daughter doesn't ride the bus, but when she did, or my older kids did, it was like family. So I appreciate all of you, and thank you for coming and saying what you had to say tonight. Appreciate that. And I just wanted to also say I was really happy with the district to be able to do, you know, we're getting more in-person things, letting the kids do the fun run in the elementary schools. That was really awesome. They had such a good time with that. Mr. Simpson was out there like as a DJ extraordinaire. Like, it was just so much fun to have somewhat of normalcy for our children. Same thing in the high school. You know, my daughter participated in the Powder Puff football game. So much fun for the kids, having homecoming again. My son was stripped away from those, you know, his junior and senior year. So just seeing, you know, them have that again has really been a treat. So that's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Jackie. I also, as we have already mentioned, appreciate that you guys are here providing feedback. But I do want to take a minute to celebrate Michael's last Averill Park Board of Education meeting, at least on this side of the table. But as I look around, you know, he's the one person that's been here since I started on the board, and over the years I've made some observations. I'm going to share them. So, Michael really cares deeply about the district, its financial stability, as well as the employees and the students, and for that we are very grateful. He definitely believes in every student every day, and we see that in the many recommendations he has made over the years, whether for learning programs or for personnel issues. He constantly worked diligently to offer creative solutions that would provide the best for our students and staff while being financially responsible. Michael is also an expert in school finance. He provides the specifics we as a board members need during budget presentation. He takes the time to explain in very much detail when required the fiscal pitfalls of taking some actions or not taking other actions. He has met with community members who all had questions to provide information and be transparent. And all that was done with his patience and understanding. And Michael is also very passionate, especially when he believes strongly in something. I've seen that passion over and over. sometimes talking well beyond the point where he has convinced us an idea is a good one, but always because he believes it is right for the district. I personally think May's Every Student Every Day podcast about the school budget was the best one thus far, where Michael was the guest. The information he provided really demonstrated how he conducted business every day and his attitudes towards the district, keeping our mission as a top priority. So Michael, thank you for all your contributions. I will miss you, your wisdom, your passion, and your knowledge. But I wish you the best in your retirement. May it be long and joy-filled. So congratulations.
Well done,
All right, so that brings us to, yeah.
We have a couple more check marks on executive session, that's all.
Okay.
We have a motion to executive session, yes?
Yeah, but it's to discuss collective negotiations under the Taylor law and
Proposed pending litigation
proposed litigation, okay?
and matters leading to appointment.
Can you hear him?
Matters leading to the appointment, employee discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation.
Okay.
There's 3 boxes.